this took too long, so I'm gonna talk about the Revolt Summit. The funny thing is, I was gonna talk about this on my podcast. You know what? Let me just say, we just did an episode yesterday. Go on my other channel, Skino Films, to watch it. The first thing we started off on is the Revolt Summit. The sad part is, I watched that Revolt Summit about 6 times, and I was telling all my friends in it, man, I watched it. I have so many opinions on it, and I was gonna tell everybody my opinions. I was gonna say this eloquently, and I was gonna get my opinions out. I didn't say a fucking word about it. So I have. So usually we do our final thoughts, and I was thinking to myself, I'm gonna say it then. You know what I talk about? About Gohan for Dragon Ball Z. And even though I love Gohan or the Dragon Ball Z, I was like, I was supposed to talk about the summit, and I didn't talk about the summit. Thank God I got this backup channel, because I'm gonna tell my damn thing about the summit. And and if I don't, I'm gonna explode. Even though I've had this conversation with many a times. First things first. I'm glad that this summit happened. I've always said that black people need to have conversations. We need to have conversations that will make us uncomfortable. Plus, look at ourselves in the mirror. Hopefully, we'll do better by it. And hopefully, well, this one was more or less about voting. And I guess Diddy and all of them been big on voting. So, this is really not much about the black community, but what are we doing with the black agenda? And I think people need to look at that. Secondly, I've never hated Candace Owens. A lot of people hate Candace Owens. I never hated Candace Owens. The first time I've ever seen Candace Owens was a video of her when she was talking about black people need to stop playing the victim card so much, which I've always said. Now, don't get me wrong. There's no one who, if anybody should play the victim card, it's us. It's us, because history. Like, if you know your history, you know how evil white people was back then, and how we was, like, we weren't even considered human at one point. Like, we were considered property. We was less than dogs at times. Hell, sometimes we got killed by dogs because the way white people was. So, but I've always said, if we keep complaining and nothing gets done, what are we complaining about? The one thing about the civil rights and everything that's going along there is that, yes, they complain, but they also did shit. I do feel like we're doing stuff, but nothing's changing. Like, we're telling them our problems and nothing's changing. And then we're going back to, like, oh, you're just racist. Or we're not hearing the other people out, and then we're just saying, oh, you're just racist, homophobic, transphobic, blah, 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 blah. We'll just throw names out. There are things that black people need to work on. And I feel like we need to look ourselves in the mirror. Candace Owens is that part that we need to look at, but at the same time, she does coon a bit. Now, depending on what you say, coon and all that other stuff, I know she's married to a white man. Now, the way how you feel about Candace Owens, I do feel she's a little uppity, but what she was saying on the summit, it was factual. A lot of those things was factual, and Louis Farrakhan said many a times. Now, people love. Now, I know people like, oh, people love Louis Farrakhan. There was a time people did not like Louis Farrakhan. Let's be real. Like, same thing with Martin Luther King. Most people didn't like Martin Luther King at first. A lot of people didn't like Malcolm X at first. All right. You don't really like those people until history down the line. People didn't like Ali at first, especially white people. They did not like Ali. They did not like his cockiness and all that other stuff. Now people adore Ali. People adore Martin Luther King. Malcolm X, not so much, but, And Farrakhan, white people hate, especially the Jews. The Jews really fucking hate him. But as far as Candace Owens was, I think she knew what she was getting into. She knew that she was going to get booed. Even though she was throwing factual, she knew she was going to get booed. She knew she was fighting a long fight. The thing she said about slavery was, and even though she wasn't making light of it, she shouldn't have said that. Oh, slavery was going because if you know anything about American slavery, or every time when we try to uh, do something about in America, and people say something like slavery was all over the world. In my opinion, you're like trying to negate a problem with shit that you don't really give a fuck about. Like me personally, I hate it when people say, "Oh, there's slavery in Africa and all that other stuff," because you don't really give a fuck about slavery in Africa. And let's be real, if we're talking about American problems and you bring out worldly problems, in my opinion, you don't really give a fuck about my problems in America. You really don't, and you try to negate this shit. This shit never works for me because every time when someone says that, I say, "What are you doing to help stop slavery in Rwanda? What are you doing to stop helping the blood diamonds? You ain't done nothing. So shut the fuck up." That's my opinion on it. Two, I don't know why was there a camera on Diddy. I know it's Diddy's channel, and I never saw. But that camera on Diddy is pointless. It's for some reason it's just like letting people know Diddy was there, but the shit was not about Diddy. So that camera was pointless, and the people in the crowd asking questions. Well, the men at least. I feel like y'all could ask better questions. One dude talking about his fucking mixtape. The whole thing we was talking about, the black vote and the black delegation and all that other stuff. You got this one nigga talking about how do I get my mixtape signed, and it had nothing to do with what they was talking about in the summit. So the audience, y'all really did a bad job. I don't care. And booing Candace Owens doesn't make it better because, as one of my friends said, what she was saying, Killer Mike was saying the same thing. So it's not the message; it's who's delivering the message you don't like. Which I could have told people that it was like Candace Owens is not going to get anything. But I do feel like, and Roland Martin said this, like she's going to go there. She's like, "See, I done did this," and then go back to White Zaddy and then like complain about that. But I feel like Roland Martin was good, was aware on that. But it doesn't take effect to point to what she was saying was factual. Three, Killer Mike basically killed everything. He shut everything down. He had questions. Anytime they asked him a question, he had an answer. He was direct to the point. He was funny. He was charismatic. He made you think. He made you laugh. And I feel like Killer Mike is one of those hidden gems. It's like he knows his history. He knows a lot about Atlanta. Atlanta is one of those like businesses black people can't prosper. That's why a lot of people do move to Atlanta to move in jobs, because for as far as black people prospering, a lot of people doesn't prosper in Atlanta. Atlanta's very homegrown. It's very village like. It's not like New York. New York is very individual. Atlanta's very village like. The South is really village like itself. It's like people know people. Like people really do know people in Atlanta. So Killer Mike killed it. There was one, the light skinned guy that dressed like a damn golfer. He did nothing. Now he was talking about getting the youth to vote and all that other stuff, but he really did shut down the whole entire thing. You heard him about once or twice. Like he wasn't really a big factor. Katrina Johnson, I need to know more about her. All I know is she likes Trump, and one thing about her, like she put out a point that I've been saying this. I feel like I've been saying this whole time, because though I do not support Trump, Trump has done shit for black people, and you can't knock that. Prison reform, it affects a lot of black people. He has put money in HBCUs. You can look it up. I've looked it up. Yes, he's done it. So when Trump does this, I don't want to say it makes Obama look bad, but I've been defending people Obama when they say Obama has done nothing for black people, and I've always said we didn't. I felt like we as black people failed Obama because we never really gave him a 10-point agenda of what we need to get done. Unlike the LGBT when they wanted marriage, when the LGBT wanted something, they got it done. When the women wanted something, they got it done. When Obama was focusing on healthcare, he got that shit done. I feel like, and I'm gonna say this many a times, I feel like black people, we have so many problems in the hood, in the black community. We don't know which one we want to get solved first. You could say jobs, you could say crime, you could say gentrification, you could say education, which is all big problems in the black community. But we don't know which one we need to focus on first. I feel like whichever one we need to focus on first and everything else can fall in line, we could have did that. We didn't do that. Instead, we treated Obama like a fucking celebrity. And it's not Obama's fault. Obama's a charismatic dude. He's a he's a real tall man. He walks with a purpose, got a great smile, can talk very eloquently. Like, you can't blame. I don't blame Obama at all. He did his time and he left, and that's why I feel like a lot of black people feel like they wanted with Obama. They just want him to do 8 years, scandal free, and go about his way. So yes, as black people, him being the first black president, we treated him like a celebrity, and that's our fault. Instead of treating him like a fucking president, we treated him like a celebrity. So when she was talking about, President, and I feel like we did try to get him to do stuff because the last 2 years, and a lot of people won't say this, the last 2 years, Obama was doing stuff for black people when the Trayvon Martin stuff and all that other police brutality was happening, and I feel like that's what we decided up upon, even though I feel like there was bigger problems in the hood than police brutality. He tried to do something about police brutality. Obama tried to do something with my brother's keepers, especially in Chicago, because a lot of people was killing people. A lot of people don't know about my brother's keeper. He was doing stuff for the black community, but I feel like a lot of people didn't know about that. And two, I feel like a lot of the stuff in the black community, we could have solved that stuff. We didn't really need to get Obama. Now that Donald Trump said, we felt like now we need the purpose to step up. All this black entrepreneurship, all this jobs has been the lowest. And I'm not giving Donald Trump credit because I don't want to give Donald Trump credit on a lot of things because I feel like Obama gave him the staple and then he just ran with it. Now, prison reform, that was Donald Trump. I can't knock that because I always said you need to work. Sometimes you kind of have to work with the enemy if they're the ones in power, and that's what Killer Mike was talking about. We don't have, like, as much as like I'd like to see black people in power, we're not in power yet. We don't have nobody in power. A lot of people want to be fucking entertainers and celebrities, and I don't have a problem with you being an entertainer and celebrity. Hell, I got a fucking associate's degree in videography, and I went to school. Now I want to be like the next Spike Lee. I got an associate's degree in film. Now, a lot of celebrities can be political fighters, but they kind of teeter-totter. It's not like Dick Gregory. Once he became an activist, he was an activist. But back to the summit. Overall, I felt like it was needed. Candace, and this is a summary, so I will make sure I could be I felt like 1, it was needed. 2, Diddy did not have a fucking camera on him. 3, we need to have more conversations about this and bring other people besides T.I. Now, you can bring back Killer Mike, that's one thing, but I feel like T.I. really didn't do much. But he did have some good talking points, but at the same time, he didn't really apply much. I felt like when Candace Owens said you was trying to get some gotcha moments, she was sort of right. But at the same time, oh yeah, I was going to say she didn't really answer. Like Killer Mike had to answer for her. But I'm pretty sure she wasn't going to say them 7 years after the Civil War. Now, this is just me. If you ask me, when has America ever been great for black people? I'm going to say the 90s. I feel like the 90s, I feel like black people was getting I felt like in the 90s we was getting ourselves together, especially in the entertainment business. You see more rise of black celebrities. You see more rise of black politicians. You may not like Jesse Jackson nor Al Sharpton, but they was really prevalent in the 90s. I felt like we was really finding ourselves, and Black Power was really enforced. And I know 70s is like it was I'm black and I'm proud, but I feel like 90s we was like that times two, and we was doing our own businesses, we was making our own movies, we was having our own shows. Um, some of the best moments came out the 90s. That's why people like to go back to the 90s. That's why um like they want to reboot shows like Martin, or like if Fresh Prince ever had a rerun. I feel like people love the 90s. When they talk about nostalgia, now the 80s, yes, but mostly the 90s. When they talk about nostalgia, people love the 90s. You don't hear a bad thing about the 90s. The only thing about the 90s, the three strikes rule and all that other stuff. But other than that, the 90s were fucking great for Black America. And I feel like no one talks about that. The 90s were great for Black America, especially when it comes to finding ourselves. Early 2000s, and and but the 90s, that was our fucking time. So that's all I really have to say about the summit. Let me know what y'all think about the summit. Till then, my name is Oskino Fly, and I'm out. Peace.